Hey guys, I hope you all are doing well. Thank you for tuning in to today's Bible study. We are officially at episode 7, and I will be using a NLT Bible, that is New Living Translation. Feel free to use whatever translation you prefer, just giving you a heads up in case there's any differences between phrasing or vocabulary. Well, with that being said, let's get started. So you may be wondering about the title of this video, Ready, Set, God. What does that mean? Well, I'm here to tell you. We live in a world filled with a ready, set, go mentality. We're always on to the next thing, always in a hurry, always moving. We don't really take a lot of time to rest or reflect. So today we're going to be talking about how to change your ready, set, go worldly view into a ready, set, God spiritual view. How to grow in your relationship with Christ, especially the intimacy factor. The secret to intimacy with Jesus is more than just knowing God. We can say we know God all day, but does that really mean that we're following Him? So today we're going to be talking about the steps needed to reach and achieve spiritual intimacy with our Lord. The first element we're going to talk about is that of sacrifice. Sacrificing our time to focus on godly pursuits. Psalm 21:6 reminds us that the Lord enjoys our company. You have endowed him with eternal blessings and given him the joy of your presence. Like any relationship, it's a two-way street. Not only are we being filled with joy from having that relationship with him, but he's being filled with joy. He wants us to lean on him when times get tough, just as much as he wants us to lean on him when things are great. John 7:38 reminds us that having a relationship with God fills us with aspects of the Spirit. Anyone who believes in me may come and drink, for the scriptures declare, rivers of living water will flow from his heart. I don't know about you, but I want to show the world those living waters. I want them to flow from my heart and flow into other people, because that is what sharing the gospel of Christ is all about. Each step forward in our relationship with God requires sacrifice. But it's not just sacrificing our time. Yes, it's important to set aside a time and space for prayer. It is important to, attend a Christian fellowship or attend church. But it's so much deeper than just time. It's also our actions and our thoughts. Perhaps the hardest sacrifice of all is replacing those negative thoughts and actions with positive ones. It's not like it's super easy to quit a bad habit or quit a bad thought. It takes time and it takes practice. It's a daily decision. But in order to gain intimacy with Christ, we have to be willing to sacrifice those things. Sacrifice the human parts of us in order to obtain the godly pursuits that God has laid out for us. Romans 12:2. Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. The better control we have over our thoughts and actions, the closer we get to Him. Christian author and preacher Francis Chan puts it best. Our lack of intimacy with Jesus is often due to our refusal to unplug and shut off communication from all others so we can be alone with Him. It's very true, especially with technology and social media. It's very hard to unplug sometimes, but it is so imperative in our relationship with Christ to be able to do so, to set aside that time, to change the way we think and feel, to be more like Him. There is a reason why Jesus went and prayed alone most of the time. He had that intimacy relationship with God, and we can too through Jesus. Intimacy through Jesus is intimacy with God, and it's a part of an everyday decision, an everyday lifestyle choice, but it's not impossible. The second element of intimacy is understanding. If you've been in any relationship at all, you know how important it is to understand each other. Because if you don't understand each other, how are you going to grow together? How are you going to learn how each other works? Well, the same applies to our relationship with God. And I love the verse from Psalm 139, 1 through 4, where David says, "O Lord, you have examined my heart, and you know everything about me. You know when I sit down or stand up. You know my thoughts even when I'm far away. You see me when I travel and when I rest at home. You know everything I do. You know what I'm going to say even before I say it, Lord." It's crazy to think that God knows what we're going to say before we say it, what we're thinking. When we think that nobody knows what's going on, He does. And the best part is He still loves us. He still wants us. How many human people can we say the same for, once they really know you? Well, they want you. That is why godly love is so important here. And this verse really lays that out, that He has examined your heart. He sees everything, the whole picture, the good and the bad, and still loves you. That is why understanding is a huge, huge concept of intimacy. Just as God knows and understands us, it's also our responsibility to know and understand Him. Proverbs 2 through 5 says, "Tune your ears to wisdom and concentrate on understanding. Cry out for insight and ask for understanding. Search for them as you would for silver. Seek them like hidden treasures. Then you will understand what it means to fear the Lord, and you will gain knowledge of God." To know God is to fear Him. And I'm not saying that it's a terrorizing thing where you should hide under the covers, but you should just be aware of how powerful and majestic He is. That kind of fear. Because once you get to that point and you realize just how almighty He is, that's when you begin to really know Him. Know Him as the Father. Know Him as the friend. Know Him as the whole collective, the Trinity, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. When you can gain an understanding of those three persons all in one, that is when you gain true insight and the true knowledge of God. The third element of intimacy is relaxing in His presence. Again, I'll go back to the title of this video. A lot of us aren't too good at relaxing. We get stir crazy and we want to constantly do something and work on something, which is not a bad thing. It's good to have work ethic. It's good to want to keep yourself busy. However, if that is becoming a distraction from your relationship with Christ, that is when it becomes a problem. Intimacy involves you being able to relax. Just as you would in a relationship, you want to be able to be yourself and be at ease and feel peace even in the silence. And my favorite verse about relaxation comes from Psalms 131, 1 through 2. "Lord, my heart is not proud, my eyes are not haughty. I don't concern myself with matters too great or too awesome for me to grasp. Instead, I have calmed and quieted myself like a weaned child who no longer cries for its mother's milk. Yes, like a weaned child is my soul within me." Not only is this verse beautifully poetic, but it does explain the crisis that we find ourselves in the fallen world. Things that are beyond our understanding. All of our why questions. God knows that we're always going to have questions and we're not going to understand. But here's the thing. We're not supposed to understand everything. If we knew all the answers, there would be no purpose for faith. Because without conflict, there is no resolution. It is okay to ask, and it is okay to question. But when those become the primary focus of your thoughts, then you're just stuck in a vicious cycle of worry and anxiety that the Father does not want you to be in. So call on to Him to rescue out of that. Rest in His presence, knowing that everything is going to work out for the good and the good of His kingdom. The world is filled with many battles, both internal and external. I get it. But Exodus 14:14 reminds us, the Lord himself will fight for you. Just stay calm. That's a lot easier said than done, right? Being calm in the midst of chaos is a true representation that the Spirit is alive in you. Because when you are able to calm yourself and to be still, even when the world around you is in havoc and is just going crazy, you know that you are still going to be okay. Because the God that you follow has won the battles that you are fighting and that you will continue to fight. You are not alone. You have the weapons of the Spirit. You have the armor of God. All you need to do is just try your very best to stay calm and collected, and the Lord will pull you through. The last element of intimacy is seeking his face. I've said it before, and I'll say it time and time again. It is not enough to just know God. He desires us to seek him in everything that we do. Not just in the big things, but also the small things and everything in between. Proverbs 8:17 is where he says, I love all who love me. Those who search will surely find me. It's very true. When you start to search for God, you do begin to see him. Maybe not in the way that you imagined. Maybe it's just a feeling, or maybe you get a vision, or maybe it's through another person. But eventually, the more you seek, the more you search, this promise stands that you will find him. I love how Psalm 63:1 puts it. O God, you are my God. I earnestly search for you. My soul thirsts for you. My whole body longs for you in this parched and weary land where there is no water. I feel like we live in a parched and weary land with no water. So many of us are thirsting for truth, thirsting for peace and freedom, and so many of us are stuck with no way out. Or is there? There's always a way out. We are all locked inside a cage. But what some of us don't understand is that we all have a key to get out. We all have a way to get out and to find freedom. When we earnestly search for God, when our soul thirsts for him, we find that key and we find that way out, because he is the one that breaks chains. He is the one that sets us free. Because of him, we have the victory. Not because of what we do, but because of what we do through him. Or should I say, what he does through us. That is the key to intimacy. That is the key to freedom. I hope that these elements have spoken to you, and I hope that you take what you have heard today and apply it to your own relationship to Christ in order to grow more intimate with him. Because the best part is, when you grow more intimate with a Father, you grow more intimate with other people, becoming more Christ-like, filled with compassion and godly attributes. May you be able to sacrifice your time to understand him and you in the process, to be able to relax and find peace in the midst of chaos, because Lord knows we are in the midst of chaos, but to be able to seek his face even in that, even in the worst of times, finding him, finding the good, and sharing the good news with other people. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure that you do tune in next Wednesday. We will be back on our normal up and running schedule. So either tune in here on Facebook or check us out on Bethel Butterfly Church Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, feel free to leave your prayer requests in the comment section below, or just shoot me a message, whatever you feel most comfortable with. I will be reading those, and I will be praying for all of you. From one set-free sinner to another, I am sending you all of my love.